10th knot. I was supposed to die at 38. Doctors didn't say it outright, but I could see it in their eyes. The tumors would spread like spiderwebs across my liver. They gave me timelines wrapped in soft words, palliative, comfort, making the most of your time. I wasn't ready. I was only 35. No children, no family, no legacy, and something more selfish than that. I wanted more time. Desperately. When my grandmother passed away at 101, I took over her house. There was no question. She'd always been a little odd, in ways I never fully understood. I was her only granddaughter, and she treated me like I was so precious. Like I was the last of something important. She'd been obsessed with the strange. Bundles of herbs hung drying from her rafters. She burned them at dusk. Sometimes, I would glimpse her through a cracked door muttering in her languages I didn't recognize. Charms of feathers, bones, and stones always hung from her neck, clacking softly as she moved. She had a way of looking right through you, her gaze heavy as iron, making you feel stripped bare. And above all, there were the books. Always unmarked, leather-bound tomes. It didn't seem odd at first, until the day I passed by behind her chair while she read. The pages were filled with symbols, jagged and crawling, interspersed with broken Latin and scattered Old English I could barely decipher. Those books never made it back to the shelves. Only one ever resurfaced. I found it in the attic a month after she had passed. The attic smelled of dust and something faintly metallic, like old pennies left too long in the rain. Pale light barely reached the corners, where shadows crouched thick and stubborn. When I lifted the quilt she'd woven herself, a puff of stale air escaped, cold as breath. Beneath it sat a small cedar box, its hinges dark with age. Inside, old papers were bound in cracked leather, the edges yellowed and curling. It smelled of smoke, but not fire, something older. The ink on the pages was darker than black, glistening wet, though they were dry. And when I looked too long at the symbols, they writhed, curling like ash in an unseen breeze. On the third page, words I could read emerged. The cord ritual. More followed. It was simple. 10 knots, each tied with intention. Each knot a year of life, stolen from the waiting mouth of death. The price? A small sacrifice. The first knot was cliché, a drop of blood. Harmless. But the price climbed. The more you took, the more you had to give. Memories, essence, pieces of yourself. Not long into my doctor visits, I remembered the old book. I reclaimed it. I didn't hesitate. I was dying. The first knot was easy, a drop of blood. The next day, I felt better. Not just better, alive, strong. The pain in my side faded. The yellow fled from my eyes. I called my doctors. They were shocked. Spontaneous remission. That's what they said. But I knew what I had done. So I kept tying the knots, 1 year after another, always on the same night, each year. I gave a little more each time. The second knot, a strand of hair. I plucked the awkward one that never lay flat and never grew back. The third, a fingernail. It slipped off cleanly, as if the knot itself had loosened it. The fourth, a tooth. Same thing, no pain. I felt invincible. I'd reached 38. The fifth, an important memory. I couldn't recall exactly what went missing, only that when I thought of my grandmother's passing, something felt hollow. I remember being distraught about it. Then I moved on. The sixth, my reflection. Nobody seemed to notice. Maybe it only affected me? When I looked in the mirrors, all I saw was a blurred absence, a ripple in the glass. The 7th. My shadow. Strange, yes. But every year past 38 was a gift, even if I wasn't whole. The 8th. A hope, an ambition. This was the moment I knew I wouldn't last beyond the 10th knot. That night, as I tied it, I realized my hopes for the future were gone. I couldn't even imagine a tomorrow. By the 9th knot, I stopped dreaming. Or perhaps the dreams weren't mine anymore? Shadows pressed close in sleep. Whispers crawled beneath the surface. When I woke, I could still hear them calling, faint and distant, like voices rising from the deep water. And then came the 10th knot. The price wasn't a piece of me. This time, it demanded something I loved. And the only thing I had left was Lily, my cat. She was old, frail, always curling beside me like a warm heartbeat. She had been with me through everything. I tied the 10th knot, whispered her name, and carried her gently to her bed. She didn't wake the next morning. But neither did I die. Not on time, anyway. I thought I had won. I thought I had outwitted death. Bought more time like always, until today. I stood at my bedroom doorway, staring down the hallway, and saw him. A man, or something like one, standing still in the shadows. I couldn't see his face, only the weight of his presence pressing down on the air. He wasn't standing in the dark, he was the dark. The shadows bent toward him, siphoning like smoke into his shape. When I moved, he stayed. When I spoke, he gave no answer. And then, he lifted a bony finger and pointed, slowly, deliberately, down the hall, over my shoulder, at the drawer beside my bed. My heart sank. The cord lay coiled inside. The 10th loop unraveled before my eyes. A meow sounded from downstairs. Lily. And then, footsteps. Soft, barefoot, growing closer. An hour later, the 9th knot unraveled. He stepped forward. By the time the 6th knot came, I glimpsed myself in the mirror. The reflection was back, but I didn't recognize her. My hair had thinned, my skin bruised with sickly yellows and grays. Parts of me flaked, crumbling like old parchment. I was rotting. He was in the doorway now. The 5th knot has just slipped free. And now I remember my memory. My grandmother, on her deathbed, frail, sunken into the mattress, pointing a trembling finger toward the corner of the hospital room, her voice hoarse with terror. "Tell him to leave," her lips cracked. "He can't have me yet." There'd been nothing there then, only a patch of shadow, thick as ink. I thought I had beaten death, but I hadn't. I only borrowed time, and death, it turns out, never forgets. Only have a few hours left, opposed to the year I thought I had. If you're reading this, will one of you please visit my home and take Lily? Tell her I'm sorry. Give her more love in her final years than I did. I don't want her to spend the rest of her time waiting, watching, worrying the way that I did. The thing at the window. They said my grandfather didn't die right. That's how my aunt put it. Not right. His funeral was rushed. The coffin nailed shut. No final blessing. No vigil. Just dirt and silence. I came back to his village in the Carpathians because someone had to deal with the house. The roof sagged like a tired old back. Mold clawed the walls. The neighbors watched from behind curtains. Even stray dogs crossed the road when I walked by. The first night, I heard scratching at the window. Not a branch, not a bird. Fingernails. Slow, testing, like something learning how to knock. I pulled back the curtain. Nothing. The second night, I locked every door and drew the curtains tight. Still, the scratching came. Louder now. Hungrier. I didn't look. I sat on the floor with my back to the wall, pulse thudding in my throat. Then a voice came, muffled through the glass. "Let me in, Ethan." My name spoken like lullaby. I didn't sleep. I waited for the sun. The scratching stopped at first light. On the third night, I sprinkled salt along the windowsills and across the thresholds. My grandmother used to say salt confused the dead, kept them from finding their way in. I listened. The voice returned. "It's me, Grandpa Dumitru, my boy." My grandfather's voice. "I'm cold. Why won't you open the door?" But I knew what this was. Strigoi, a dead thing that sits and digs its way home, wearing the skin of kin. They speak with familiar voices, but they're hollow inside, puppets of hunger. That night, I dreamed I was a child again, sitting on my grandfather's lap, his hands too cold on my shoulders. He leaned close to my ear and whispered, "Blood remembers. It always comes back home." I woke to the sound of the door handle turning. Click, click, click. Like something trying to remember how hands work. The salt was gone, swept clean. The fourth night, I boarded the windows and hid in the cellar with every light I could find. Still, I heard him above me, no longer pretending. "Let me wear you. Let me taste your name. You are already mine." This morning, I found the footprints in the kitchen. Muddy, barefoot, thin. The toes were too long, split like hooves. They led to the fridge. Inside, the food was untouched. But the photograph of my grandfather, the one I kept tucked behind a magnet, the one I brought here with me, was missing. Tonight is the fifth night, and I can hear it breathing inside the walls. I can almost feel the heat of its breath through the boards, the stench of decay. It's growing. The window where my grandson sleeps. I don't remember the burial. One moment I was in my bed, sick and slipping. The next, I was clawing through wood and dirt and cold. They say death is peaceful. They lied. It's hunger. It's forgetting. And it's memory that refuses to die. I came home. The village looks the same. The sky sits heavy over the trees like a closed lid. Dogs bark when I walk past, but I smile. They don't recognize me yet, but Ethan will. I saw him through the window the first night, grown now, broader in the shoulders, his mother's eyes. He looked so much like her. It hurt. I scratched the glass to let him know I was there. Just gently. Just enough. He didn't open the curtain. The second night, I called his name. Ethan. He always used to come running when I called, yelling, "Grandpa Dumitru!" My boy, my heart. Why didn't he answer? I tried again, said I was cold, that I missed him, that I was home now. Still, he stayed away. I could hear him breathing inside, fast and afraid, like he didn't know me. Did I scare him? The third night, I felt the sting of salt. My mother and wife used to do that, the old ways. But I'm not evil. I'm just changed, that's all. Death takes things from you. It took my warmth, my reflection, my voice, made it stretched and distant. But my love, it didn't take that. He must know that. The fourth night, he hid from me, buried himself in the earth like I had. I called to him again, said things I didn't mean, things the hunger whispered to me. Let me wear you. Let me taste your name. They weren't my words. They were what the dark teaches you to say. When love alone no longer opens the doors for you. I only wanted to be let in. This morning, I went inside, just for a moment, just to see if he still kept my photo. He did. He still remembers. Tonight is the 5th night. I can hear him breathing. Soon, I'll hold him again. And maybe then, he'll remember that I was never gone. Just waiting. Just cold. Just hungry to be loved. Hey guys, Deanbol here, just stopping in at the end of the video. Just to say hi, because I think the last video, I did not put a little end note with me talking to you. I did for the 2 previous videos. Not only that, but it's been a real long time since I've uploaded. So I just wanted to stop in and give you an explanation why. I know there's only about 150 people subscribed to the channel, but I know that a lot of you guys came from Reddit. And so I still posted like a couple stories on Reddit. And you might have been waiting for the narrations. I'm getting a phone call from my girlfriend. 1 second.
A few moments later.
All right, I'm back. Anyways, the point I think I was getting to, I rewatched a clip. I've been gone because I've been doing some coursework for certificates on Coursera, and just to bolster my profile on LinkedIn, because I'm thinking I want to transition a little bit in what I'm doing. And this is, to me, a hobby, and so it's kind of cutting into my time doing this and recording for this and writing stories. And for that, I do apologize to the people that care. If you don't, that's totally fine. Just, I know that I've gotten some real nice DMs from people, so I know a couple of you guys really do care about when I upload new stories. I really appreciate that, and I wanted you to know. Other than that, really enjoyed the 10th knot. I was offered by an official podcast for commission for them to, I was offered commission by them for them to narrate the story, and that's kind of a big step for me just because I want to be a published author. So I thought it was really cool that somebody was willing to pay, where like usually you just get a lot of YouTubers reach out and they're like, hey, do you have permission to read your story? And then they put an AI voice over it for their YouTube channel, and that doesn't really feel as gratifying. I really love some of the narrations people have done though, because the ones that aren't AI, like some of these guys could be voice actors. So I did want to give a little shout out to that. But other than that, I hope you guys really enjoyed the stories, because they were really fun for me to write, and you can expect another video next weekend. If it's not up during the weekend, it will be up during the next week. Outside of that, thank you for stopping in. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. All right, I'll see ya. I almost forgot. Oh, I have a mustache now.